welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Bertha and today I'm going to be sharing on a very important topic, that is how to defend your thesis successfully and confidently. If you have not subscribed to my channel, do subscribe now. So for your information, I am actually pursuing my Masters in Engineering Sciences at Universiti Malaya. Universiti Malaya is the best university in Malaysia and it possesses World QS ranking of 60 currently. So I am proud to say that I have finally defended my master's thesis after 2.5 years of hard work and lab work, so on. So I am here to actually share all the tips and tricks, especially on 3 important factors. So 3 factors I'm going to touch in this video is firstly your presentation slides, secondly is your presentation skills, and thirdly is the communication skills on how you can actually answer the Q&A sessions with confidence. Firstly, I'm going to be touching on presentation slides. For your information, your university should actually be giving you a guideline. You can normally find this in your university portal or department website. So that is how I actually found my guidelines. So the university has actually emphasized that the font size should be big and what should be in the flow. You have to have the research background, research gaps, literature review, and so on. This will all be given. Different universities have got different criteria, so pay attention to that. But most importantly, I would like to point out on some very important factors when it comes to presentation slides. So firstly is the first slide, which is your title slide. You should have the title highlighted and in big font, and make sure the title is precise, straight, answering all the objectives and so on. The keyword should be there. Secondly is certainly your full name with your student number, and additionally you need to list down all your supervisor's name, plus not forgetting your university logo. Like for me, I need to put the Universiti Malaya logo. Your department logo is up to you, but it's preferably stated in the first slide also, like Department of Engineering or Department of Science and so on. And make sure everything is readable. And yes, the next slide and subsequently you need to have the slide number. This is very important because during the Q&A session, the panelist is going to look at the page or slide number and ask you questions. So when they tell you go to slide number 3, you say so and so, could you explain further? You need to be able to get to that slide. So that is why the slide number is very important. And thirdly, you need to make sure you actually use bright background for all the slides. You shouldn't be using dark background, or if you are to use black background, make sure the font color is actually contrasting so it can be read very easily, and make sure the size is big as I mentioned. So make sure it's all in a proper flow. The flow is very important, as I realized, because when the flow is bad, it just shows that you're not knowledgeable enough in how to make sure the storyline goes well. And that is why I was actually rehearsing a lot on the flow. So I was actually going in such a way that, okay, this is my title slide. Now I would like to talk on the presentation outline. So this will be my presentation outline for today. And now I would like to proceed with the research gaps that I actually found out. And since there are these gaps, that is why my objective of the experimentation or the objective of my research is so and so. So from here you could see that I was actually focusing on linking every slides together and why I actually did this, what actually happened to that. And so this flow actually shows that I clearly understand my entire flow or my entire research and how it works. So that shows to the panelists that you are confident enough and you know your research very well. Also make sure your slides are actually filled with pictures. Try to capture pictures during your lab work or your survey and prove to them that you had actually done the work, you were actually at the site. So these pictures would actually add up the value. Avoid all the wordy slides because that is also boring to me and I believe to anyone else who's actually listening there. As my supervisor says, sometimes picture speaks more words than the word itself. So try to keep it creative as possible but scientific enough. And for Universiti Malaya, the presentation for master's level is normally 15 minutes. So you shouldn't pass that limit. So try to practice with 15 slides up to 25 slides the most. But if you're a PhD student in Universiti Malaya, you actually are given 20 minutes to present. So then try to keep between 20 to 30 slides if possible. Why I'm actually saying extra slide is that normally 1 minute should cover 1 slide. But if you actually have like the thank you slides, a literature review, and then the references slide, that is all the additional slides, right? So mine actually came up to like 30 plus, but some are actually just the thank you pages and so on. It is truly important to actually have an introduction and the closure page. So yes, the first page with your name and title is important, as well as the thank you page at the end that says you have actually wrapped up and that you're ready for Q&A session. So now the second factor is presentation skills. So when it comes to presentation skills, it is what I actually mentioned earlier. Your skills in presenting should be well. It should show that you have actually practiced and that you are confident. So that is why rehearsing all the slides is very important. Yes, you might know your research A to Z, but if you don't know how to present well within the stipulated amount of time, you will be a failure. So that is why it's very important for you to rehearse. So how I actually presented or rehearsed my slides is that I practiced slide by slide. So initially I did not practice for the 15 minutes, but I actually practiced. I was actually reading through all my thesis, and as per the slide, I actually knew what are the points I should actually highlight as I'm speaking, and not just put everything in the form of words in the slides. So this actually made me understand that, okay, this slide, I'm going to read out these points and I'm going to speak extra about this and that. Only then I actually did overall rehearsal. This is very important because one of my friends actually presented her thesis, and then at 15 minutes, she had to like just cut out 2 of her slides, not talk anything about it, and just straight go to the conclusion. So this would actually make the panelists know that you are not prepared. And second is that they actually be asking you too many other questions in which properly the kind of questions you did not cover during the presentation itself. And when you're actually presenting, your presentation skills should be understandable at every level. Do not be very scientific when it comes to your research background, because example, I am a civil engineer, but my panelists may not be from a civil engineer background. They can be from the science department background. So I need to be able to make sure they understand. Just imagine you're actually presenting to small children and you want to make sure they understand about it. So that is why your presentation skills is very important. Then next, I would actually like to cover finally on the communication skills. This is very, very important. So communication skills, why do I actually separate it from the presentation skills is because when it comes to defense, you're actually presenting it first with the slides, and then they'll actually assess you to the communication skills. How are you answering the questions? What is your body language like? So these are all very, very important. So when it comes to communication skills, you really have to hone this skill. So what I normally do is actually watch YouTube videos, especially TED Talks are my favorite. They kind of give me motivation on how do you work with your body language, your hand gestures, and so on. So when it comes to communication skills, first of all, you shouldn't speak within yourself. Don't speak, actually for information, this is what happened. No, speak loudly, speak clearly, and do not be too fast, because that was one of the problems or one of my mistakes during my presentation. I spoke very fast because I was too afraid I'm going to go beyond 15 minutes, but guess what? I finished the whole presentation within 11 minutes. So when they actually ask you questions, you have to answer them loudly, confidently, and clearly, straight to the point. Do not go around beating about the bush, going into different stories and so on, which is irrelevant, because if you're going to explain a lot more, according to my supervisor, they might actually catch that point and then you will get caught. Example, if you give the wrong facts or you don't know anything out of that scope, and then you will actually put yourself into trouble. So straight to the point, answer it, and make sure you could actually then follow up the panelists by asking, I hope I answered your question, or I hope you're clear with my answer and stuff like that. But what happens if you don't know the answer to certain questions? Do not make a fool of yourself, because if you say something wrong and if the panelist is of the same background as you, they would know that you're actually lying, and you might actually be, I don't know, they can actually do anything. So try to answer frankly, but if you do not know, you can actually state that I do not understand the essence of your questions. However, I would research more on this topic and get back to you. Or you could actually say that I do not have an answer to this question. I would like to pass to the next question. So just be polite and not be aggressive during a presentation, because that is a very, very important criteria. And what happens if you do not agree with certain points the panelists or the examiner are saying? So you can actually just nod and say, okay, thank you for your opinion. However, my opinion is this, or thank you for your opinions. However, the literature review has actually proven that this and that. So that will actually show that you're actually debating in a constructive manner, and that you know your stand, you know your points. So other than that, you do not actually argue to an extent where you make the examiner feel like they are an inferior, because sometimes some examiners are quite egoistic. Although they might be telling some wrong points, but you just got to nod and go on, because some examiners just want to show that they know much more. However, it can be wrong. For as long as you don't get into fight or trouble, then you will actually pass. Another thing about communication skills is that you have to know about the entire process. Firstly, it's not just about the voice and the way you talk, but also intonation, right? So example, if you want to emphasize on a word, or you have to pause at certain things, or you have to speak out that specific word clearly or louder to actually emphasize on it, do so. That is what we call intonation. It shouldn't be monotonous, but it should actually have a mix, okay, of up, down, and then slow, pause. All these things should be there just to express certain words better and stuff. So that is a kind of skill you should actually abide by. And secondly is that you should also have your body language, your hand gesture should actually move around. So when I was actually asked a question about geopolymer concrete, that's what I'm working on how could we bring this to the market. So I actually used a lot of body language to say how we could actually convince this factory, how we could convince people by lowering the price and so on. Could you see I'm actually being confident here, and I'm having a lot of gestures, and I'm showing to the panelists that yes, I am confident and you can have my word. This is my answer. So stuff like that. So body language is very important, and eye contact is also very important. So you have to look into the panelists' eyes. You can't just be looking at the wall, just avoiding the eyes of panelists, because that actually proves that you are feeling nervous, or maybe you're trying to just hide something. So just be confident. So eye contact is very, very important. And of course your posture, you shouldn't be, slouching like this, but you should actually have a straight posture and then with an open shoulder, so this actually gives you a better confidence. It actually is proven, because with a better posture you could actually breathe in and out better, and your nervousness would actually kind of reduce in a way. So that will be a better way to actually communicate well with the examiners. So I believe I've actually covered the 3 very important factors, and I hope that this video would actually really help you to defend your thesis perfectly with flying colors. And do not be afraid, because when it comes to PhD or master's thesis defend, right, you would actually pass with minor correction, pass with major correction, meaning you have to redo certain experimentation and resubmit your thesis and stuff within 6 months period, if I'm not mistaken. And next is fail if you really have got a bad thesis, and if you really couldn't answer the questions, you really do not know anything about what you did, then you would certainly fail. So the probability of people failing during thesis defense is actually very, very low, because you have actually end of the day put in a lot of hard work, so people actually try to make you pass. But even when passing comes with minor or major correction, and I was so nervous because I just wanted minor correction, and yes, I actually passed my master's thesis with minor corrections. So when it comes to minor correction, they will actually give you about 3 months time for you to just correct whatever they have commented, maybe your flow in the thesis, your structure, or whatever they have actually come across, right? They'll just tell you, okay, correct this and that, and you have to just submit all the amended version within 3 months time. And for me, I think within 1 or 2 weeks I'll be able to complete it, and I've got to start that. And another thing is that certain universities, you need to have publications in order for you to graduate. Yes, you can pass your Viva, which is your verbal examination. However, without paper being published, you will not be able to graduate. That is the case with Universiti Malaya. So for master's degree, you need to have 1 paper published online, whereas for PhD degree, you need to have 2 papers published online. So I believe these are the things that you have to actually inculcate or instill in yourself, all these important skills and the tips and tricks I've actually given for slides. This would certainly make you excel in thesis defense. And do not be afraid, just dress confidently and bring in your best smile and answer the questions. So good luck to anyone who's actually having thesis defense very soon, and do your best, because that actually indicates all the hard work that I've actually put in. And most importantly, read your entire thesis to revise back everything, to revise back certain statistics or whatever that you can actually chip into your explanations during the Q&A session, because that is what I actually did. I actually read my thesis about 2 to 3 times before my Viva. So thank you so much, and do subscribe to my channel and comment on what kind of video you want to watch next, so I will be able to create such valuable content for you all. Thank you so much. Love you all. Take care.